Welcome to another episode of Rose Resource Room. Today I am here with a special guest, Rachel Klein, who will be a speaker at convention. So Rachel, hi, how are you?
Hi, Ro. I'm great. How are you?
Good. It's an absolute pleasure to have you here. Tell me a little bit about yourself. Let's start off with you as the woman, because like we get so into, well, I'm a mom and I'm a homeschool mom. Tell me a little bit about you, and then you can tell me about all the other titles and roles that you have.
Sure. Yeah. That's a really fun question because I I don't think about myself too much outside of the context
Oh,
of
I
my
know.
children. Yeah, but as far as I go, I've been married for 12 years. So part of that means that my husband and he's a big part of my life. And he got me into running, so I'm a runner. And coming off of a couple years of injury, but getting back into running, and the spring weather just makes me itch and want to go outside and run. I love to read. Um, I'm also a musician, so I play the flute, I sing, and I do a lot of with my church. So yeah, I'm busy in those areas when it's just me.
Awesome. I love it. And I'm glad that the spring is here and the weather's getting nice and you will be able to get back out. That's so good.
hmm
So tell me a little bit about you as a homeschool mom. How did you start your journey? Are you one of those people who were like, since I was 5, I just knew that I wanted to homeschool my babies? Or were you like, no, I'm not doing this?
No,
Okay.
not at all. This is, I think I'm the first person in my family to homeschool. I was public schooled, my husband was public schooled, and we are not native to, we live in Lancaster County. We are not native to Lancaster County. We both grew up in Bucksmonco. Um, and when we moved out here, we had some friends who had homeschooled, and we're like, oh, that's interesting. Okay. And I think when our oldest was like 3 or 4, we started thinking about what we wanted for her. And I was totally open. I was like, okay, like, would she go to public school? We could homeschool. We could homeschool for just a year. The possibilities seemed really open, and
Mhm.
I just had no direction, which was overwhelming for me because I'm a little type A,
Mm.
right? Um, but I had a really good friend who was interested in homeschooling and was very interested in Charlotte Mason and wanted to
Mm.
start a Charlotte Mason reading group. And I joined because I thought I'd like to learn more, and this sounds like the right avenue. And I just totally fell in love with that philosophy because
Mm.
I'm a former school teacher. So I had
Okay.
just thought homeschooling meant doing what happened in public school, but at home.
Okay.
And when I read the Charlotte Mason philosophy, all of a sudden I thought, that's it. That's what I think is missing. It's that missing piece. It's the idea that our children need the flexibility to pursue what they're passionate about,
Mm.
right? And they also need to be given things that are worthy of their time, that we need to be giving them living books and things that can really capture their attention and taking them outside and letting them explore and notice things and developing those senses of attention and of wonder. And that's when I realized, okay, we are going to be homeschoolers and we're going to take the journey as long as we can. It's funny because I mentioned it to my husband that, hey, I think I would like to homeschool the kids. What do you think about that? And he said to me, oh my gosh, I am so happy because I really want to, but I knew that most of the burden was going to fall on you. So I didn't want to push you in that direction. He's been so supportive from before I was even into it. So it's been great for us.
Oh my gosh,
hmm
I love that story. And there are like so many
hmm
similarities between the two of us. Like before we started recording, you told me that you have a 9-year-old, a 7-year-old, and a 4-year-old. All right, and I
hmm
have a 9, 7, and a 1. Tell me the genders. So you have a 9-year-old daughter.
Uh-huh. And a 7-year-old daughter, and then the third is a boy.
Okay, so 2 girls
Yep.
and a boy. I have 3
Yeah.
boys. And then you've been married 12 years. I've been married 11 years. Um,
Okay.
and then for us too, like we never thought that we were going to homeschool. For us, it was always like we're going to move into a nice neighborhood, pay too much in
Mhm.
taxes, but get some good schools. And then that was going to be
Right.
it. And my husband was also the one on board first. Like he was like,
Mm.
we should really homeschool. The difference was he didn't see me as a homeschool teacher. It was we're going to bring a teacher in or have them online doing classes and they're homeschooling while we're
Okay.
working. And
Yeah.
fast forward, I'm doing it. And it's just, I won't say that I'm a reluctant homeschooler, but I never saw it coming But once I
Mm,
felt the urge to do it, I'm like, this is it. I'm all in.
yeah. Well, and the Lord equips us in ways that we never realized that we could do it. And
Mm-hmm.
that's been incredible to me because I really am like I thought I was going to be really particular with my kids and I was worried that I wouldn't be flexible and I have just realized that nope, I need to let the day flow and let
Yeah,
my kids be who they are and that could never have happened um without the Lord sanctifying me through the along the way, right?
I love it. That is a
Yeah.
part that I'm realizing that homeschooling is not just for our kids. So much of it is our character development, our relationship with God. I'm like, wait, I already went to school, like enough lessons for me, right? But God is like, no, this is a part of your journey too, and you will mature and you will grow and you will get to know me closely because
Mhm.
you're going to have to depend on me so richly.
Yes, yes. Our education never stops, just because we're grown ups. And yeah, we're lucky
Exactly.
that we get to grow along with our kids.
We do. It is a really good
Mhm.
feeling. You started talking about Charlotte Mason, and I want to hear
Mhm.
more about like how you incorporate it. But I'm always curious about public school teachers turned homeschool. How did you have children? Were you still a teacher when you started homeschooling? Did you quit to homeschool?
No,
Okay, tell me more.
no. So, my who, what a story.
Let's
So,
go.
I graduated college in 2012, which, if there are any other teachers listening, they know that was kind of a difficult year to get a job as a teacher.
Mm,
And so I married the month after I graduated, so I didn't have the flexibility to move out of state or do anything like that. I was here and I needed to find a job here. It was very difficult. The only reason I got a job that first year was because I had a connection to someone who got me in, and I was the only person who even interviewed for the job. So it fell into my lap, and I was really lucky. Um, I taught for 1 year, and then it was at a charter school that was shut down. So I taught for
mm,
a year, and then the school closed, and then I couldn't find a job. So I ended up doing a lot of substitute teaching, which is it's fine. It's not what a teacher wants because you're never in the same building and no one really pays any attention to you. You don't get a lot of
mm.
respect. It was fine. But no, I never ended up finding that full-time position that I really wanted, that dream job before I had my children. So I went
Mm.
from substitute teacher to mom.
Got it.
Yeah, so the transition probably was smoother for me than another mom who had been teaching for a while. But still, like I still had to unlearn a lot and totally rewire the way that I thought education would go.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I've only been doing this for like 2.5 years and I'm still unlearning. Like even sometimes I'll say to my boys, hey, let's work on XYZ. And then they'll grab their book and they'll sit on the floor, sit on the couch. And I have to prevent myself from saying, you have to sit at the table. You have to sit at the
Right.
desk. Because like who told us that learning only happens at a desk? Like right before I quit my job in 2021, they started introducing the movable desk. So like my coworker who had migraine and shoulder pains and all these back issues, she stood and worked the entire day. But here I am telling a 9-year old or a 7-year old who automatically wants to sit on the floor and who's actually doing the work. No, 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 you have to sit on the table. That's what we do in public school. But
Right.
says who? Why?
Right. Right. Yeah. And who says we can't just walk outside and read a book while you're swinging, like that kind of thing? So,
Right.
yeah, the flexibility is nice, but I even still struggle sometimes because my daughter in particular likes to lay on the floor, but she likes to lay on the floor during math. And I'm like, can you please look at this equation for a minute? Just please.
Right.
But I'm like trying to think like, okay, how can I adapt to her? Like maybe I need to use the whiteboard, like the
Mm,
hand whiteboard a little more often so she can see and that kind of thing.
I
Yeah.
know. I always struggle because I'm like, okay, what is the part of me that's saying I want to equip my children and then meet them where they are with their individual and their unique needs or preferences, but I don't want to hamper or disable them where they can't function in any other environment because I've created this contrived environment of life is, evolves around you and then they go into another setting, so I feel like I lean on the I'm gonna be strict and have make sure that they're able to function in other places versus saying it's okay to do this. It's not the end of the world if you
Right.
sit and right.
Right, right. And we have plenty of time in church to learn how to sit. And
Right.
we're still training them to do those things. It just doesn't have to be for the mornings that we're doing our schoolwork. Yeah.
Exactly. And we really have to understand why something is done so that we know if we even want to implement it, right? So if you're
Yeah.
teaching 40 kids, then of course you can't ask each individual kid what color they want or how they want to do it. You have to have a system because you're working with
Yes.
27 kids, 40 kids, so that makes sense. But if
Yes.
you are working one-on-one or in a small group with your 3 or 5 kids, I think we can relax a little bit.
Yeah, we can be flexible.
We can. So tell me more about how you incorporate Charlotte Mason and how you unlearn some of the public school things you've learned into your home.
That's a really good question. I think the first way is just to make sure that my lessons are short because I know, especially,
Guilty.
yeah, and that's not just a Charlotte Mason thing, I don't think. I think that across the board, as homeschooling moms, we realize, you know what? That math lesson doesn't need to be longer than 20 minutes when I have a 7-year-old in front of me. Like she just can't do more than that.
Right.
And that's fine. And that's been the number one for me is really making sure that I'm not overloading their brains.
Mm,
Yeah, so that's been really good. I do prioritize a little bit of time in nature. We do a nice long walk at least once a week, if not more often, because I am trying to get them to notice the birds, and
mm,
we're pulling out our app and trying to identify different plants that we see, and that's starting to build that attention. That's really important to me. And then my narration is our primary. Um, Method of assessment, I guess, for me. And
right.
that's there's that nice long pattern of growth where, you do oral narration and then it turns into written narrations later on. And then as that builds and builds, all of a sudden these kids can write anything and they can write it
Mm,
beautifully. And I'm starting to see that just build. My my 9-year-old is writing like just creative stories on her own, but I see her language, like I see the way that she connects her sentences, and I'm like, that's because you're reading really lovely books and
mm.
you're able to tell them back to me, and that's starting to build into her own vocabulary and her own language structure. So it's really neat to see. But it's a long game.
Yeah.
You're not that first year of asking narrations of your children is not um it's really disheartening sometimes because
Oh,
you're like, I just read you 3 pages and you told me one
oh
thing.
my gosh. Yeah.
Um, but it gets better and it is you just have to trust the process. And then as my kids have gotten older, I've seen just it's building blocks on top of each other. Yeah.
I was gonna
Hmm.
say who sent you, but clearly God sent you because I've been hearing the trust the process thing, and I'm like, okay, Rachel is saying it too. Fine, I'm gonna trust the process because I totally
Yeah.
hear you. Like, I have a like my oldest one too. I would say, tell me about blah blah blah, and he would give me this beautiful, eloquent, articulate speech. I'm like, yes, go write that. It was big. It was fun. I'm like, wait, what happened? Right? So like, I hear what you're saying with the flip, where you're reading something and they're totally engaging, and you're like, okay, now narrate that. And then the other part that's going off in my head is, wait, you mean narration is enough? You don't have to do a standardized test. You don't have to do 25 worksheets, right? And you're saying, actually, no, you don't.
And from what I am reading, so I don't have high school aged kids yet, but from
Mhm.
what I am reading, that 5 paragraph essay that we were all taught in middle school, high school, whatever, that's not something like it's not something that our children are going to struggle with. We can maybe introduce it their junior or senior year of high school, and
Oh,
they're just
wow.
gonna be able to do it like that because they've had this building block of narration and being able to synthesize information in a really streamlined way. And they've been that harnessing that power of attention is being able to focus their attention on a given topic for and be able to just process it quickly. That's what narration is teaching. So it is a
Mm,
long game and we do have to trust the process because it's not going to happen right away, but over that 10, 11, 12 years of schooling that you're doing, they're going to get better and better at it. And doing some, drilling some of those things like 5 paragraph essays isn't going to be as helpful as it is just giving them beautiful content and
Mm,
allowing them to process it orally and then written. But we have to take the small steps first
I
and
love
not
that.
overload them. Yeah.
Parents, if you get one thing from this, it's a long game. Okay. So if you
Mhm.
teach your kids something today and you've done 25 examples and they don't get it, it's okay. It's a process. It takes time. I
Mhm.
interjected twice. Was there anything else you want to share about like how you have been unlearning or like rewiring your brain to make life more
Ooh,
beautiful?
let me think. We talked about nature. We talked about narration.
Hmm.
Hmm.
We talked about the sitting still.
Yes. Oh, I can't think of anything right now.
That's fine. So you are going to
Yeah.
be a convention speaker. Give us a sneak peek. What are your topics? What will you be sharing?
Sure. So, I am an evaluator in Pennsylvania, and I am going to be talking all about the evaluation. And one of the reasons I'm really passionate about this subject is because I think it is one thing that every new homeschooler looks at that evaluation and probably has a bit of a panic about it, right? We
Okay.
don't know what is this supposed to look like? Why do we have to do this? What am I supposed to show my evaluator? And I want to come in with just this heart of compassion for all of you homeschool moms. And I want to show you how simple it can be. I almost every family I've ever evaluated has said, that's it. And I said, yes, that's all it
Aw.
is. So my goal is to break down what the law actually says we're supposed to do and
Hmm.
then say, and that's all we're doing. Okay.
Hmm.
This is just making sure we are complying with what the law says, and honoring our government in that this is what they have told us to do. And so
Yeah.
we are going to do it. But mostly, as an evaluator, when I go into that evaluation, I am celebrating that child and their academic success that year. It is not a test, it is not an exam. It is show me what you did. I want to know because I'm genuinely interested in how they have grown that year. It's a celebration, it's not meant to be scary. And so my goal is to help equip parents to feel better about that and to know exactly what they're supposed to be doing.
That is so beautiful. And I'm glad that your county or whatever districts you serve, I'm glad that they have you to really shift that mindset. And like you said, the narrative is not, let me see if you did enough, failed, right? It's like, oh my gosh, look
Right.
at how much you've accomplished.
Right. Yeah. Because as
What counties do you
homeschoolers,
serve?
we we do a lot as homeschoolers.
Oh my
In fact,
gosh.
sometimes I have to tell parents, I don't want to see the whole thing.
Oh
Right?
wow.
Don't hand me this big thick binder. That's not important. Why little bits. I want to see little snippets of things that are important to you and things that are important to your child. And
Yeah.
well, I'll definitely talk more about that at the convention of what that looks like. You asked me a question before I interrupted.
No, no, no. We were just talking at the same time. What counties do you
Oh,
serve? Only Lancaster?
I'm in Lancaster County, but I also serve in Lebanon and Berks as well.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Good to
Yeah.
know, parents. So if you're looking for an
Yes.
evaluator who's nice and
Yep.
kind and who will shift your
That's
mindset from scary to, oh my gosh, you're an amazing parent. Here you go.
yes.
All right.
Yes.
So
It's
that's
really
really
fun.
good.
Hmm.
Tell me, what was your first year like when you had to do evaluations?
Oh, when I had to do evaluations. Okay. I fell into it because I had a friend who said, hey, you're a teacher. Are you allowed to do evaluations? And I said, I don't know. I read the law. There's an excellent group of mentors that I've gotten a lot of information from. And so the first year, I think I only did one family, but it
Okay.
was really cool. I was terrified. I thought I was going to mess up, but it was so easy. And I sat down with them and I said, I'm learning about how to even do this. And you guys have had a great year. So I just want you to show me what it looked like. What did you do? And they had all these lovely like little workbooks, but what struck me was they brought all their art because
Mm,
this one particular student was an artist. And I remember just saying, I can't believe that you can do this type of work in second grade. This is beautiful. And they're always so quiet and reserved in the beginning. Most of my students are they're really quiet and reserved in the beginning, but what I love is getting them to feel confident and to open up about what they love.
mm.
Um, So yeah, that first year I remember it was really her art. But I've had more and more students. I love I love the students who are shy. I love trying to figure out what sparks their curiosity and their imagination. They love to tell me about their trips. I've had some students bring me videos of them speaking in their foreign language, which is
Ooh,
so fun. Oh, it's such a blast. Yeah, and then I do homeschool. Ugh. I do evaluate a lot of Charlotte Mason families because since I'm familiar with the philosophy, and then come in with these book lists that are just
right.
so long. And oh man, we have such wonderful book chats.
Oh, wow.
I love hearing about what they're reading, especially because then I can just filter that down to my children too.
Yeah.
Um, so I learn a lot just about how I can be doing better as a homeschool parent.
Wow.
That's really fun. Hmm.
You are so kind. And when I hear you talk about it, it doesn't sound like a job or a profession or a side gig. It sounds like a ministry. It's like, this is my service to these families. So again, I feel like they're just so blessed to have you.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. Tell me about the flip side. Have you had
Mm.
to go through like several evaluations? I'm from Jersey, so I actually don't know like when evaluations start. How young do children start evaluations?
So in Pennsylvania, the evaluations start when the child is six,
Okay.
at least when they're six by September 1st.
Hmm.
So if, for example, my daughter, her birthday is September 15th. So the year that she turned six, she had actually missed the cutoff. So that first year, we didn't have to put any paperwork in for the state. So it was this year is actually her first year that she's had paperwork in. Now, as for me, I don't actually have to do evaluations because in Pennsylvania, there's an option for uh, people who are certified teachers in Pennsylvania can go the private tutor route, which is a different way of it's homeschooling, but it's a different way of putting your information into the school district. So as a private tutor, basically I send in my information once per child, and I send in my teaching certificate and my clearances as if I were a public school teacher, those three clearances that all teachers have to have, and
Mhm.
then that's
Oh,
it.
wow.
So I don't have to do, because I'm a private tutor, my children don't need evaluations. We don't have to do standardized tests. We don't have to do an affidavit every year. So
Mm.
there are definitely some perks to that that teaching certificate. And I was joking with my husband because I said I always thought that after that first year of teaching, and I never went back to teaching, that my degree was totally worthless. It's not.
I was literally just gonna say that. Like, see, there you're still getting some bang for
Yeah,
your buck.
it was worth it. So
That is
that's
awesome.
really nice. And it allows me to evaluate too, because
Right.
that's part of, yeah, that's one of my qualifications. So yes, it's very nice. And it allows us some nice flexibility for my family too.
Very awesome. I
Yeah,
hope people will just come say hi, even if they don't have to attend your sessions. Just come over, say hi to Rachel, and like
I
give her
hope
some love.
so. Yes, and find me too if you do have your teaching certificate and you didn't know about the private tutor option, because it's a really good option. If you're hanging on to that certificate, even if it's inactive, you can still private tutor, and it's really nice to private tutor.
See,
Yeah,
that's
so
why
we
I
can
need
chat
to,
about that.
yeah, and that's why they need to listen to Chat with Chat because they get all these gems, and that's why you need to come to convention.
Yes, yes. I'll definitely be hanging around the whole convention, so I won't just be there for my sessions. Come find me.
And I'll be sure to come say hi too.
Yes, please.
So tell me, what final thoughts do you have? What else do you want to share with us? You've been such a wealth of information. Like I learned so much about evaluating just in this short, like less than 30 minutes.
Oh, I'm so glad. I'm my biggest goal is that you're not afraid.
Mhm.
Don't be afraid to ask me questions. I'm not afraid to give you my email. Please send me an email and just ask me what's eating away at you. And if there is something that you really want to talk about or really want to hear at the CHAP conference, please let me know, because I'm flexible and I want to make sure that I'm providing the information that's really going to serve the community of homeschoolers in Pennsylvania. I think we're doing good work. I love homeschooling here. every homeschool family I've met has just been so passionate about their children. We are doing them such a service. And I will also say, as an evaluator, I am in your court as homeschooling
Mm.
parents. Um, and I'm not just saying that as a homeschooler myself, but I truly believe that as homeschooling parents, we are the best advocates for our children. We have their best interests at heart. And I am never going to doubt that about you as homeschooling parents. You know what's best for your kids, and I'm here to support that.
Oh, that warms my
Yeah.
heart and fills my heart so much. And I don't even have to do evaluations.
Yeah.
But yeah, just
But
in
it's true for
general.
you
Yes,
too.
just in general, like we are literally our first and best teachers. And we believe the mindset that, oh, after they get to a certain age, you have to give them over to the system because they do it better. And, it's a
Mm,
process of unlearning it. We definitely can't do it.
right. Yeah.
Yeah. This sunlight is giving me like fake eyeliner and like this feels like such a
You look
filter,
amazing.
but I'll take it. But anyways, Rachel, thank you so much for your time today. Thank you so much for sharing everything, and we cannot wait to hear more from you at CHAP. And again, thank you.
Oh, you're so welcome. I can't wait to see you there.
Take care.